Everybody ready? Got 9 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mochler.
Here.
Graylobe.
Here.
Brady.
Here.
Teasy.
Here.
Gilbertson.
Here. Any conflict of interest declarations? Hearing none. Approve agenda.
Move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All same sign. Motion passes. Approve minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Are there any visitors to be heard who that their issue is not on the agenda?
We're here just for the RAI.
Yep.
Okay, that's an agenda.
Hearing none. The Rural Access Infrastructure Fund grant applications. Let's look at those. Thoughts on?
So funds available, it was in the neighborhood of 120, is that right?
Right,
Do you, and it's not less than 120, is that right?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin and I took a little drive yesterday to go in and look at different structures, and one that certainly stood out for me for state of disrepair was the Prairie Center structure. Also, that one was the most affordable, or possibly second most affordable of the asks. So that was the amount requested was 43,000. On inspection, it's a very narrow structure, and the sidewalls have both been broken off, so there's exposed rebar. It looks pretty dangerous and pretty bad. So that is a township that's not previously received any RAFE funding, to my understanding. So that one seemed like one that seemed appropriate. They listed 20 residents affected. It was one of the more complete applications. They specified what their local match would be, which not all the townships did. I understand that there may not have been a lot of clarity on that for some townships. So we're giving some flexibility on these versus what the RAFE handbook says. There's a lot of shalls and busts in there, and our state's attorney looked into it, and many counties across the state are given a lot of flexibility on those process questions. So that's one that I thought seemed appropriate to include. I know Travis, you mentioned, I think it was you mentioned at one of the previous meetings that it seems maybe appropriate to try to get some funds to each township before we cycle back around. So that kind of, I think particularly Garfield Township got a very large award last year. At least at that time, it was the largest award for any one structure in the entire state. So although Garfield also had some structures that looked like they could really use some of these funds, and they had some very complete and thorough applications, I'm less inclined to fund Garfield's because of that. I think probably a good step for us to do, also based on guidance for the state's attorney, would be for us all maybe to pull up our RAFE handbook and the criteria in there, and just make sure that our decision is grounded in the criteria that they provide. That seemed to be important. So. Page here.
Anybody else?
I had a couple here. I was looking at, obviously, the condition of all of them. There's need everywhere. But I was looking at the one in Pleasant Valley for 51,172. And also for 29,563. And then same one you mentioned, that Prairie Center. I was just doing the rough math and that would get us close to that 120,000.
See, Glenn,
That would use it up. So
the amount you had for the ask for the Pleasant Valley was it, did you have that as 51? I had a different number recorded, but I kind of put a spreadsheet together.
We've
to
got
try to-
73.
I had 73.
Was that the one to fix for 2026?
It was a little, with the 5-year plans in there, it wasn't always totally.
But there is a estimate here for Pullman for 51 on one and 29 on another. I think they're box culverts.
Okay,
yeah,
So I think the 73 is just the arch bridge rate.
That was my understanding. Ron, is that correct?
So I think we're just talking the arch bridge for 73, right?
On 304.
okay. So that was the only one looked at.
So that's the one I was looking at too, was the arch bridge and not the box
For it.
culverts.
I mean, the whole thing was 91,000. Our portion would be 73.
okay.
Correct.
I see that now. That is 2026.
Okay.
Okay.
That one, okay.
I was just trying to
Yeah.
get the math to work out
Yes.
to use up that 120. So
Yeah, sorry to derail there. So what was that? What was the
That's all
other
right.
structure? Yeah,
um,
Prairie Center.
Prairie Center. Okay.
yeah, they had four of them all together. That I had written down.
That's kind of on that same page too, with Pleasant Valley's, the arch bridge project in the Prairie Center.
That gets us to 116,000.
Yeah, that was in that 120 ballpark, yeah.
So looking at our criteria here, we've got, so this is 5.4 in the handbook. So traffic use of the highway, residential. So these are things that we must consider. And then we've got authority to consider other things. So traffic use of the highway, residential, commercial, recreational, and other uses of the highway, length of detour if the project is not completed, number of residences, farms, and ranches served by the project, whether the highway terminates into a field entrance, driveway, single residence, farm, or ranch, public safety, hydrological impact, cost of the project, contribution from township or others to the project, ability of the township to fund the project without using the RAFE funds, the application or group of application that best serves the citizens of South Dakota. Do everyone feel comfortable that we have grounding in all of those? You know, I think that the Prairie Center one was the top of my list, and I felt that that one certainly seemed to have some public safety issues, and the cost was reasonable and fit well within our budget. So I felt like had at least a couple criteria that we could point to there. I'd let somebody else maybe justify the Pleasant Valley one, which I think does seem like an appropriate project.
Anybody from townships want to say anything or just?
I'll just say a brief word on defensive stars and
You have to come up here, Ron, so people can hear you online.
Ron Peterson, I'm the clerk of Star Township, and we appreciate the commission. You've given us some money in the past, and that was greatly appreciated. Got us a long way and in some tough financial times. We had ours in last year. The two things, it was a 3-ton bridge, timber bridge, safety concerns and the structural integrity are our main things. We had fertilizer trucks going over that illegally and, when nobody was there to police it. So we put it in and you sound pretty favorable last year. We, as a board, or the board decided that safety was just too high a concern. We spent our own funds to replace that structure with our own money. So we're back asking again if you'd be willing to help us with any or all of that or part of it. If you can, fine. If you can't, we've got it done, as you saw on your trip probably. So we appreciate anything you can do with Star for Star. So that's all, just a word that we did do it, and main concern was safety.
Thank you, Ron. And really would appreciate the county's gratitude for taking care of that safety issue. The connectivity of the township roads and the county roads are all intertwined. So that's a benefit to all of our citizens.
And on this one, on the south end of it, it's minimum maintenance or no maintenance roads connectivity. So it led to a dead end. So it had to be replaced. So thank you for your consideration.
And that did bring up a question that I had, was whether I couldn't find any rules against awarding for a project that had already been completed. But I gave a pretty perfunctory scan over. I wasn't clear on whether the rules prohibit that or not. So.
I don't think there would be any rules that, as far as I've seen, I think perhaps it would be just one of the criteria, right, about whether, they have ability to fund it would be one thing to just, one of the factors to consider. But I don't think there's anything against funding a project that's been completed.
And throughout here, there's not really clarity on whether it's better to approve an application for a township that can't afford a structure or for one that can. Because if a township has demonstrated that they're fiscally responsible enough to cover the funds of their project, then that might be grounds to award, but also we might say, well, that the areas with the greatest need are the ones that warrant the funds. So unfortunately, there's no clarity on which direction we're supposed to weight
I
those. But,
realize that.
thank you.
Thank you for consideration.
Thanks. Anyone else? Motion from the board or what do we
Okay.
discuss?
Are there any other visitors or anyone who'd like to comment on any of these?
Rod, do you have any opinions on this? Brent? Well, you guys know these areas. You're out there every day. That's why I'm asking.
I got strung up for this already once, so.
Well, it won't be long for this time.
That's right.
It's getting shorter.
I'll make them, oh, go ahead.
Would it be possible to award the 43 for Prairie Center? And then that would leave roughly 77,000 for Pleasant Valley.
Yeah, we can,
I'm throwing that out there.
we can hold on to that other 4,000.
Yes,
So we don't have to,
because
because
we could
there's,
hold on to all of it, but
there's 73,302. And then Prairie Center's 43,000. I guess it's still 116,302.
we also don't necessarily
Is
have.
what's available.
No, 120 is available.
120.
These two added together is 116,302. So
And 20% is the minimum local match. So, another alternative is that we could fund them at something less than 80%. So if we felt that three applications were so deserving that we wanted to make sure we gave funding to others, we could offer that. We might find ourselves in a situation where the township would have to return the funds and we'd have to reallocate it next year if they couldn't make up more than a 20% match, but that would be a possibility.
but we can do Pleasant Valley and Prairie Center at 116,000 and
I'd make a motion that we fund the Pleasant Valley 73,302.18 and the Prairie Center at 43,000.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
May I make a comment about refunding? So probably many of you are aware, this is a program that's been up for several years and it's had more funding allocated to the program several times. It would be wonderful if that continued in the future. And Sidney Davis, our local senator, has expressed a lot of interest in trying to carry that legislation to renew funding for this program. I think all you are very aware that it's valuable. So I encourage anyone who would like to see this program to continue to encourage your legislators to support renewing the funding for the RAFE grants, because that's how we could come back next year and approve more applications.
There is also a survey out. I don't know.
Yep.
Did I get some back?
I sent in as the auditor and then I forwarded out to the commissioners in case they wanted to send in as well.
And like we've previously done, the applicants who didn't get any money this time, hold those applications. We'll just let you change the date for next year. Currently, they're trying to refund it.
We'll get it this year, next year, unless they.
So I think this is it.
This is the last one in this.
Oh, this is last
Yeah,
one.
that's
Unless if they, hopefully they fund it again.
Yeah, we will have $4,000
I think there's
to give out next year minimally, but hopefully.
a number of counties.
Nothing further. Let's see. Brent, and then you've got Vanessa from Multec.
All right, thank you for your patience. I'm Vanessa Victor, I'm with Alteg. We did your bridge inspections this year. It's our actually first year doing all of your bridges for the county. So first time that we saw literally all of your structures on the 2-year cycle for your safety inspection. So that's basically anything that is over 20 foot long. We did do about 6 structures last year that had previous scour concerns, or they were just in a state of disrepair based on previous inspections, so they were flagged for a 12-year inspection. But like I said, this is the first year that we got to see all of them. So it was about 61 structures that we inspected. The federal highway, when we go through, we create bridge inspection reports that go to the guys with our recommendations, and then we code everything for federal highway as well. And then that coding, it used to give us a sufficiency rating scale. Now federal highway is transitioning away from a number scale, 0 to 100 to good, fair, and poor. Thinking that it's just easier for people to understand. The good news is out of your 61 bridges, 53 of them are good. Doing really nicely out there. You've got 4 bridges that are in that poor area and 4 that are in fair area. So where do we take that information and where do we go from there? It kind of goes along with it. Those 4 that are also poor are also low restricted, but you only have 4 bridges in your entire county that, which is also, I have to say, we do multiple counties. We sit pretty nice from that standpoint. So you can give yourself a
Good job, Rod.
yeah, literally, being on top of it. So on top of our routine inspection, obviously this year we had flooding, so a lot of our repair recommendations for staff were about scour holes that happened because of the flooding. On top of that, there is 4 structures that really kind of got hit hard by the flooding. That required a little bit more than just maintenance. We do have contracts. 3 of those are on federal aid routes, and 1 is not on a federal aid route. But we'll go through kind of the damage in those structures, just kind of as an update, so you know
So I just had a question on timing. So then all your inspections were completed after the flood, is that right? So they all represent the status of the bridges after the flood?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then were all four of the bridges the ones that were damaged by the flood, that were in the poor condition?
No, so the ones that are in the poor, actually, ones damaged by the flood are really kind of in the fair condition.
Okay,
The ones in poor condition are.
okay.
So-
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
Thank you.
no, please, but if you guys have any questions while I'm talking, just let me know. Then we try to itemize things for maintenance projects. Now, the goal of maintenance is we're gonna put a little bit of money upfront right now. So we save a lot of money later. And save dollars and dimes, save a lot later on. So if we're looking at a bridge and it has a bad deck, obviously we want to fix that deck before we have all over deterioration, then we have to replace it. The nice thing is you already have one low sump that is in the books, and based off of your inspection, none of your other decks have deteriorated enough to warrant another low sump or event. So now we are to the next cheapest deck treatment, which is an epoxy deck seal. So we're getting cheaper, but we're also doing those epoxy deck seals, and I recommended it for about 5 of your structures. But those are all structures that are technically good, you know, their sufficiency rating hasn't fallen down, but we're trying to seal cracks before we have further deterioration, because we're sitting really nice with our 8 structures that we need to focus on. And we want to keep that ball moving forward. And then we do have those 4 structures that will eventually go to replacement or removal as an option as well. And I have done actually quite a few removal projects for Lake County. So this is one of the structures on the federal aid route that it was impacted by the flooding. It is one that we are currently working on mitigating a plan that will go out to bidders sometime this year to fix the erosion repairs. On top of it, these columns are heavily deteriorated. You can't see this, but I could stand and my head would be right there. That's how deep that water did scour during this event. Really kind of just a phenomenon in general.
So Brent, all that riprap we threw in there,
There,
it's going?
A lot of it went to the south there, but there's still some there.
That's the first bridge east of 19 on 306,
Right.
the
And
one that had the big scour.
Yeah.
yeah, that we just fixed.
Yeah.
Now it's,
We're gonna take a little bit different approach to it. Try to armor. As it stands right now, this little channel right here is 5 foot lower. So that's also. The water just churns pretty nicely. This is your last structure that you also have programmed for a low slump overlay. Just actually has the plans all assembled, so that will go out soon to bid. Might have 2 different contractors, but one is emergency repair money through federal highway. So we can't.
Is there any risk that a structure like that, with the way that the hydrology has changed there and it's cut so deeply, could we get in a situation where it's no longer the appropriate engineering design for the crossing?
That was the ultimate issue with this
Yeah.
structure. It's an overflow bank. So when you get into the hydrology of it, the structure should technically be skewed. We've also just had some crazy events. And like 500-year events aren't supposed to happen
They're supposed to have every
3
500
years
years.
or 2 years. So with a grain of salt, but we could go through everything to redesign that and still have issues.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna change your soil conditions or lead to channel migration. So,
Okay.
ideally, a full hydraulic study and bridge replacement, but your bridge replacement for this would be skewed and as a bridge engineer, I will
Yeah.
tell you that it's gonna be twice as long. So, I mean, it's very costly.
Hugely expensive.
Um,
yeah.
We'll see what the next
Yeah.
500 years left goes, but it can't stay out there in the condition that it's in, because where I was standing in my head is right here. That's all exposed piling. And it's timber piling that's makes sense around it. So that actually doesn't go down that deep. So, we do need to get it fixed, before another spring or flooding event, just to make sure that we're not going to have an impact. One of the other federal aid routes that we are currently putting plan for is all the sliding that's happening on Dawson Road here in town and Dakota. We might as well talk about them both because they both have very similar landslides that are happening. Of course, only on the south side is the majority of it, but we are just finalizing our hydraulic study. Like, where do you start? Where do you finish? Because Vermillion River stretches so long. If we're going to try to reestablish the banks, obviously we want to reestablish the banks to make sure that we're protecting the structure and protecting the travel way. But you can definitely continue on for quarter mile, half a mile. So just trying to come up with pinpoint armoring that will protect the structures themselves. And then Dakota Street is a little bit different because it also has issues that are happening on the south end. It appears as though the soils are pushing, causing the wind walls to flare and break and the abutments to break along the face. So on top of it, Dakota Street is actually getting a little bit of a structural rehab on that south side, where we'll probably be digging out and putting in a porch slab with new face. Structurally, it is sound. Obviously, there's no need for a load restriction. This is more if the general public sees this, they would be concerned. It's cracking. But we will get this fixed with the flooding money as well. And then the last one, and of course, this one's not on a federal aid route, but as soon as the flooding got done, Brent and Rod told about this bridge. And this bridge has a little bit of degradation on all corners of it. So this is a tunnel through on the east abutment. This goes all the way across behind this abutment. And all this piling here exposed. We had talked about if the county could do this, it's a hazard for your guys to be down there as well, because that's literally a shelf of concrete that's just to try to fill back in. And you can't just pump fill or grouted material in there. This will be a separate repair project where NRCS is involved, FEMA is involved, and getting plans together. Everybody's paying for a little bit. Okay, so then we talked about maintenance. We already talked about that low slump. This is the last one. structure that is also flooded. We also have the major rehab here. And the nice thing is both of these structures are technically in a fair. And after these are done, they will go to the one good thing that happened from the flood. From 8 down to 6. We talked about those epoxy deck seals. Don't really, like the chipping away of the deck as much with an epoxy deck seal. It's literally a treatment over the top. It seals those cracks so they don't become potholes later on. They don't hit rebar. They don't continue that degradation. Once a deck goes, everything else kind of starts going as well. Overall deterioration. If we can seal cracks on the top side, you will have much longer life. It helps with our salts and chlorides. Deterioration. Yes, yes.
Just for reference, what's kind of a ballpark range? I know we've approved several in the past of like the cost of a low slope overlay or a epoxy deck seal for one structure, just.
So a low slump's gonna cost you about 500,000, 600,000. Epoxy deck seal is gonna be a lot.
Thanks.
There's a new fog ceiling that the state has been doing a lot of east area. And they've really enjoyed that. It's something that I have to talk to Brent, see what his thoughts are on it. It hasn't, an epoxy deck seal is supposed to last 10 to 15 years. We are just now getting to some that are 10, 15 years old. And so on the North Sea side of the state, that's why they went to this fog ceiling, because they were having some of their epoxy deck seals fail.
Okay, in less than that 10 to 15
And,
range.
yeah. But colder temperature, more de-icing, more
Yep.
salts. So they tried this fog sealant, which is basically like a saline spray that you put on. It's new, it's cheaper, and in fact, the state's doing it themselves. So it's another option that's out there.
But it's a brand new technology, so even if they say this lasts 15 years, it hasn't been around 15 years, so there's no proof, right? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, but it's still better than.
Yeah.
So, it's not gonna further degrade anything. And what I do know of the state is they don't do a lot of trial and error. So if they're saying a trial and error and they're saying that they're doing it,
Do you know where that falls in the cost range?
that will be cheaper.
Cheaper
than
than,
the epoxy deck seal. So that would probably be about like 120.
okay, and
If we're all looking about the same size bridge.
Yeah.
Not quite half of the epoxy deck seal, but it's.
appropriate for structures that would be appropriate for an epoxy deck seal, but not one that needs a low slope overlay, right? Okay, just making sure. I'm
So
clear.
basically, like the saline, what happens is when it gets wet, it microscopically, like the polymers fatten up to seal.
Seal the surface, so it's not a porous concrete surface anymore. Okay.
So that's the thought process behind it. Where the epoxy deck seal, we're putting epoxy down, we're putting chips.
Yeah.
Not much different than we do on the road, just on a smaller scale. Smaller.
Rob, what did we do by Ron's house last year?
That's a low slope.
That was a low slope.
And,
Okay.
we did,
University.
epoxy seal on the one on University below, Olson. We did, epoxy chip seal on Dakota Street, like 2022, 20-something. That one's the closest one if you wanna take
Look
a
at
look
it.
at the surface.
If you drive over a bridge and it's black, the bridge deck, it's an epoxy deck seal. If you know that they had done some work and it's white, that's a low slope. It's quick,
Nice.
quick dirty.
Those were done with big. Which is, so, 19. That's a big one.
Which comes with a big sign too.
Yeah, in perpetuity. I was reading the laws. You have to keep that up forever and ever.
Towards the end here, I'm gonna talk about the four that are important. The first one is structure 14-030-180. This is on the south side of the column. This is in general overall deterioration. So when we look at these structures, you know, this is 1938. It's done its due course. Like we've gotten 80 years. It's got a little bit of deterioration on all concrete elements, but that's not actually why it's low posted. It's low posted. So it just never had. And I mean, we have super trucks now. We have everything has changed in our infrastructure. So the fact that you only have one that is like this, is pretty good. But it's in general, not going to stay there for forever. Unfortunately, because it's also on a half-mile road, your detour is not very long. It also doesn't get that much traffic. So while it is low posted, you also only have a big score about 27.5. And to be competitive in the big program, you kind of need that in the 40s. So this one is not load restricted by much at this juncture. If the concrete deterioration continues, it will go down, but it still lands in that poor category. This next one is actually new. It's a new posting. These are kind of the most detrimental in general of our cap structures. All of them, these timber caps get rotted, and then you get crushing, and that bridge is done with its service life in short term. So this was not load posted before. We're recommending 14 tons. That could go down. We will see how it lasts in the next year. We will re-inspect it next year because that is warranted. And see how that cap is.
14 ton for combination vehicles or single?
So this one, from not being posted to being posted, you have the traffic on this road, detour length on this road, and you got a big score of 46.5. Structure. But this that cap has, it's crushed enough that it's up to 2 to 3 inches, and that is carrying into your double T or your superstructure units, your concrete, which is also cracking. It's really hard once you lose your substrate. Once you lose your feet, it's tough to stand up, nice and tall. So same thing with the structure.
And this is the county gravel, correct? 313.
315.
313.
Or 13, yeah.
The last two that are in poor condition are complete timber structures. First one I did inspect last summer as well. From last summer to the summer, the deterioration has advanced even more. Once again, your timber piling is bad at the structure. Posted at 5 tons. Saying to reduce that further to 3 ton. This is a minimum maintenance road. But it still has a large enough big score of 44.6. So it would score nicely for a replacement. And then the final structure, recommending that it just be removed. We didn't have removal grants this last year. We didn't have local federal grants. This was one of the first years in the last 5 years that we haven't had that opportunity, but I'm hopeful that it will be another option come this August. There's a large through truss that is right next to the structure that is closed and will be removed. This is basically just a drainage ditch right next to the structure. So, it's got that tip, or the cap on the timber abutment is twisting. It's really not bearing on anything. So, I don't know if it actually sees in the traffic. I say that. I-
Does this need to be closed then?
That's what you're recommending?
No, she's recommending removal, but.
I'm
Oh.
recommending removal. It is safe at 3 ton. It really serves no purpose when there's a structure right, like literally 50 feet from it that is also closed. So,
I'm just trying to
There's-
figure out what we have anymore that weighs 6,000 pounds.
This is one east of the bridge that they burned up.
and that's going through good letter.
So we did that pile too, if we put that out 150 feet away.
On top of that, we also did do some inspections of about 15 under 20-foot structures, so not governed by federal highway. I do no coding on these structures, ASHTO, or nobody's looking at this, so I can't tell you a sufficiency rating. Or most of these structures are culverts, very similar to what you see right here. Called the WPA era. They're all like 1930, 1940. In general, they have the cracks. In general, it's usually wherever the wing walls are. On all of these, the number 1 and 8 of the structures have parapets right here that are broken. And most of the things, or most of the recommendations come down to signing. Do we have a clear zone where a car can get there, or should it be a type 3 or a type 2 object marker to avoid those ends getting hit any more than they are? There is one structure that we did inspect. Just north of my home. It is on a oil road. And it has this cracking, which is basically right underneath where that parapet is. Previous inspector had recommended low posting that structure. I'm actually recommending putting up a W-beam railing, just a short section, one section across. It'll keep the load path off of that edge. And we don't have to put the structure. It's perfectly safe. Safe with the railing up there.
So this is the Meckling Road, is that right? Well, I was confused with the half mile east of Meckling.
I was too.
I would imagine.
This is straight north of Meckling.
Okay.
Three on one street. Two B.
Sorry, we're gonna deliver maps to you too, and you have new maps that are on the way. We had a sheetrock incident at our office, and everything's covered with sheetrock dust. So those will be coming, so that would actually help with the visual.
just so you know, these small structures are all on county roads. Some of them are gravel, but that's why we're still responsible for them, because they're below that 20 foot, but they're on the county road, and we've been slowly trying to get them removed, but very slowly.
Say, for what it's worth, once again, if I gauge it versus my other county clients, the forward thinking on focusing on the 20 foot and under structures is also very nice. In neighboring counties, even during the flood, I get a photo. This whole wall is gone, and nobody had ever seen this structure. And it wasn't until the local farmer had said, "Hey, I don't think that this is anything." So it's nice to have eyes on it, so you can kind of chart that degradation. All right, so that was a lot. It was a lot all at once. Thanks for bearing with me. In the future, if you want this shorter, longer, I can talk about bridges for days. Hey, Vanessa was here. Here's my pie chart. I can also do that. But first presentation out of the get-go, just kind of, this is generally what I like to do. And then I do have commissions that come back and say, I have out of what you said, I didn't understand it, or can you really dig in deeper to this and so the whole idea is we're gonna expect the bridges. You guys are already forward thinking. What do you think? That as a maintenance tool on how to keep your infrastructure alive. So what can we do to make it easier for you?
Well, I'd say I appreciated the level of detail, at least as much as great. And I think that, you know, 4 of us here at least owe a lot to earlier commissions forethought. So we want to make sure we're doing that too. 2 of us have been on for 2 years. 2 just got sworn in less than a month ago. So I think that helping just to get a clear picture of the need out there is really important and planning for the next few years. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. And if you have any other questions, let Frank or Rod know. Get those answered.
Gordon Anderson's right away application. Unless you want bridges anymore.
I got to check here for. Got down at the bottom of the ditch and put that tile in.
This is what, 1.5 miles east of 19, that one on the north side?
I sent them a letter.
I move to approve the application.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion passes. Brent, do you have the original with his signature and all that?
Yep.
Okay. There's no signature page on this.
There isn't?
No.
Okay.
We've got a weight limit resolution, 2025-03. This is one we do every year so that if there is a problem that allows the highway department to call DOT carrier enforcement if they need to.
It was the only question I had about this one is why is it an annual requirement? When I read the resolution, it doesn't seem like it's got a timeout date or anything, is it?
So it's, we have to request it every year. And
Okay.
maybe Rod can, if I don't explain it right, we have to post our roads and we have to do this resolution. That goes to, what is this, the highway or state patrol?
Yeah.
And then that allows us to be able to call them, because if we don't do this and we can't call them.
And the state just requires that to be renewed annually.
Yep.
Okay.
That and the funding.
And
If you're not protecting your roads, they don't give you any money for funding, so.
I move to authorize the chairman to, well, let's see. I move to approve, I guess I should move to approve the resolution 2025-03.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Teasy,
Aye.
Brady.
Aye.
Graylobe,
Aye.
Mochler.
Aye, motion passes.
And then I further move to authorize the chairperson to sign the letter to the, let's see, to Lieutenant Peterson with the South Dakota Highway Patrol.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Post same sign, motion passes. Then we've got the bridge reinspection program resolution 2025-04.
Yeah, and after, seeing the presentation, you guys just had, the last bridge inspection, firm, never presented anything like that. They just give us the books, hit a few high spots. I think you might have been here maybe for
I think I've heard one of these. Yep.
for one of them,
Yep.
but yeah, this is just before you vote, we highlighted who we'd like to see continue, so.
Well, I move to approve resolution 2025-04, the bridge reinspection program resolution, and that we select the firm Altig Operations to conduct those.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Teasy,
Aye.
Brady.
Aye.
Graylobe,
Aye.
Mochler.
Aye, motion passes. Update from EMA on 2024 flooding.
That's supposed to be
FEMA, okay, that's what I was wondering when I read it.
Yeah, we just got a notice from the state there, I believe you got a copy of it. That we received $5,200. That's for all the emergency protection. We did putting up barricades. Basically, the only thing it covers is overtime. So we had quite a bit of that putting up barricades, so that's the first of many to come, I hope, checks, and they'll be a little bigger after that, but we have got that completed. We've got everything else turned into FEMA except for Tabernacle Bridge on 309. That's about the only FEMA project that we haven't signed off on yet, not completed. So.
And on that FEMA flooding, part that I'm handling, Wayne, if you could help me, we need to do an extension from the state. We need to do an extension from the
Okay.
state. We're supposed to be done by the 15th of February,
Okay.
and that's never gonna happen on the clean out.
Oh, okay,
So we have to request an extension like we did last time.
okay. Yeah, I'll get a hold of Dustin.
Okay.
See what we need to do exactly. So,
Sounds good. Thank you.
So I have a question if I can ask, but it has to do with what you're talking about. We were out checking bridges and noticed there's quite a few sloughs in the laterals and quite a few debris left. Was that all noted on?
No, just the creek. And this stuff is in the laterals.
And so when the annual ditch board meets, why we'll give you
Okay,
a map where these are
pretty good size.
pretty bad. Yeah, slopes. So I didn't know if that was included in.
We did. That it for FEMA then? Okay. Surplus declaration for old iron, aluminum sides and bridge planks. So we just need to surplus them.
Yeah, we do this every year at the first of the year.
I moved to surplus. Old iron, aluminum signs, bridge plates.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion passes. Anything else, Brent?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, fellas. Lane? Do we have that grant to sign?
It actually asks for Lane's signature. So we just need to have you guys approve for him to sign
And
it.
it's a DocuSign
Okay.
thing. I didn't know. Carried it printed out. I couldn't.
I included it in the packet, but it does ask for your signature.
Copy here.
Okay. I think it's $950, something like that.
$949.75.
That's pretty close to $950. Which is pretty typical. It's based on the number of facilities that have hazardous materials in Clay County. So, and that's what this goes to. Last year, we used the money to help rewrite the plan. So,
I moved to,
Go ahead.
I moved to approve Lane to sign the LEPC grant.
A second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion passes.
thank you.
Thanks. Andy?
One issue I communicated with Carrie about, we had, when we did the fees at the last meeting, there was one that we were operating off some old information. I said, yeah, looks good. And we had set fingerprints at $15, but actually last January, we had increased those to $20.
Okay.
So I was gonna see if we could amend that last fee to $20 so we could stay the course.
I moved that we amend the fingerprinting fee to $20.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion passes.
And then the other issue that we had on there was the custodial contract that we have with the city for them using Scott's personnel to clean the PD side of the building as well as provide paper towels, toilet paper and things like that. We set that last year. I visited with city police chief and city manager, applied our salary scale to that and recommended increasing that from $13,000 a year to $14,100 a year. And they agreed to that. So I was gonna make that recommendation. It's not really my thing, but I've been handling the billing for it, so I just kind of worked through that.
So do we have something to sign or?
No, it's just an annual agreement.
Okay.
And I don't even know if you need to make motion of it, but we just need to set that fee, so then I bill them quarterly for that. If there's no objection, I can do that. And the city manager said, left it up to the police chief and she agreed it was fair.
I don't know, probably couldn't hurt to just make a motion. Sure. And then at least it's on the record.
So a motion to set that fee at what, 14?
14,100 annually billable quarterly.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion passes.
And I should say that obviously if we vacate this building before the year end, that's why we bill quarterly, so we just wouldn't, wouldn't come to that.
Vouchers, did everybody get to see, there was 2 sets, correct?
Yep.
See, good.
Hey, vouchers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion passes. Anything for Clay County Park?
No, we got a meeting coming up.
I don't have anything on the building project. Right, Andy? There was really nothing.
Okay. So they delivered a couple roll-offs, so they start some interior stuff.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they're throwing sheetrock and wiring and
They should dump 2 off this morning.
it's changed a lot.
All the doors are in now. Is
Looks
that
like
right?
all the roll-up doors are on.
One roll-up door is not, I don't know if it's gonna be a roll-up or not, but that's back at the receiving dock area. They bring a lot of equipment, bringing their mud for the cement in through there, and they just don't want to damage it. So they still have temporary plywood door in there, but it's there. It's just not installed, just to protect it. The project is looking very complete on the admin side, but there's a lot of detail work to be done on that side. The sheetrock in some places are painted with first coat. There's a long way to go with the cement block work. It's just slow going, but it's taking shape. There's still some pretty wide open spaces in there. Doesn't look a lot different than when you folks did your tour here a few weeks back. But it's coming along.
Nothing for joint jurisdiction, I would assume.
Next meeting is gonna be the 27th.
What day do we have that we're meeting for, that the commission and the city council's meeting?
I think that's February 18th. Yeah, that's.
February 18th. Any other commissioner reports? And then it looks like we have executive session for personnel matters and contractual.
We enter executive session, for personnel matters and contractual.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Pose same sign. For executive session. Entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. We're out of executive session. Anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you.